I started working at National Grid about a year ago, and that's when I really got more deep dive into what 61850 is, the architecture, what its benefits are, and specifically what the National Grid project's goals are with that technology. National Grid has actually been working on 61850 for much longer than that. It was years prior to that they started to assemble a team of people to start looking at designs of, where would they start putting 61850 architectures and substations as they went through upgrade cycles, and started actually putting all the designs together, the plans together. And part of that was the architecture of data flows in and out of the substation. And that's why they started hiring folks like me, who come from industry to try and help design some of that backhaul and secure that backhaul. So we've been working on it here for at least 4 years in terms of actual projects that have budget and have been approved. In terms of scope, we're looking in numbers of substations. We do have a few under construction right now. And we're looking at 4 to 5 substations a year over the next 10 years to roll out this new technology. And the real goal, the roadmap itself, is trying to take all the, not just 61850, but other digital technologies. We're trying to digitize the substation. And it really is focused around 61850, since that is the technology to the switchyard. It really defines that piece. And so that's kind of the anchor. And there are other technologies that will go along with it for a comprehensive digitization of the substation, such as online monitoring, and other types of digital technologies that are needed to enable the decarbonization of power, because a lot of the decarbonization efforts require a decentralization of how power flows, microgrids, if you will. And what that means is we need to look at things like battery storage, wind farms, solar farms. All have very different types of control systems, as well as requirements in terms of curtailment or metering or maintenance, right? And things like this, as well as regulatory requirements. And so digitizing all of that, since there's a lot more data happening at the substation level, that is really on the roadmap, is to try and find to harmonize all of these technologies into a package that can be provided to the substation. I think it's really twofold, the challenges. And I put it under 2 categories: evangelization and education. The evangelization, I think that companies want to see that their executives are behind the project, that it has a budget, that it makes sense. And that evangelization has been very evident here at National Grid, which is great. But it also involves education, because at the end of the day, the people actually putting these systems together, they understand the bits and bytes and voltages and wiring and cabling that you need. And if you just say, go do a thing, and there's no education around what that thing technically is, it can become a challenge. And so a lot of my job, I was just at a 61850, one of our brand new substation control houses yesterday. And again, I was there talking to all of the electricians, even some of the design engineers, the integrators that are there, just talking about what we're trying to achieve and how it actually works as we go deploy these systems. And when you start getting a little bit more of a comfort level that they know what it is from a detailed perspective down at that level, now you have an end-to-end alignment of executives, engineers, and electricians, and the unions all pulling in the same direction, right? And that's how we're going to make it happen. Yeah, it's funny. There's actually an irony going on there. The control center communications, uh, we need to both pull it all together into one funnel where all the data is coming through one particular um, method, if you will, a channel on a physical layer.
Mm.
But then logically, we need to separate that out with quality of service, bandwidth that we manage. So, for instance, a very specific instance, we have EMS control center traffic that needs to control the grid. They need guaranteed service. And right now, they share a channel with, for opportunistic reasons, with the engineers that have remote access into the system because it is very secure, and that's great. But the problem is now that opportunistic engineering backhaul that gives them remote access for patching and troubleshooting and upgrading and things like that, reconfiguring, that actually is very bursty with bandwidth. So it at times will take over all of the bandwidth from the control center. So what we're trying to do, while we're trying to bring them all together and understand them, we're defining them as separate paths that come into the substation, but all are secured together. So, and that, when I mentioned a little bit before about education, that's where it can become confusing when you go, oh, we're going to pull it all together. And then everybody says, well, wait a minute, like that's going to be a problem. Yes, but we're going to control bandwidth. So that really is some of the goals of our control center communications, is to have a better telecom experience, if you will, service. And actually I say this in my group all the time, we have customers. Our customers are anybody that needs to talk to that substation, and another customer is actually our security incident response team. Right? And so that's what we're doing, is we're trying to provide them with the best service in terms of security, right? So that the telecom company, telecom group can actually give us the paths that we need, and we can help them secure that and monitor that. And by monitoring that, the other thing that we gain as a company is it can provide us better cybersecurity insurance rates. If we can show due diligence and maturity of our security program, it allows them to see. It's almost like having if you have smoke detectors in your house and you have a fire hydrant right outside your house, then your fire insurance rates will go down. It's very similar with cyber, right? So the more that we can do to show maturity and we're prepared for these types of issues that may come about from a cybersecurity standpoint on these backhauls that are connecting into the grid, the better off the company is. Yeah, so for me personally, my background is very diverse. I come from vendors and other end users, and as a consultant in other cases, working in manufacturing and oil and gas as well as energy. I've seen quite a bit, but I don't have a deep knowledge and understanding of 61850. So for me personally, I'm looking forward to seeing what other utilities are doing in this space, because I obviously, National Grid, I think, is doing a great job with this, but I want to see what other utilities are to compare notes, especially from a cybersecurity and data connectivity to control centers point of view, and to be able to try and bring back some knowledge into our own program, and maybe help out the 61850 program here.